Hello and welcome back to Simple Money Podcast, Canada's own personal finance podcast, presented in short and informative episodes. I'm your host, Matthew Sewick, also known as the Friendly Financial Coach. In the very first episode of our new series about post-secondary educational planning, we look at what an education plan even is and what the major components are. The purpose of this episode is to understand the big picture. We will then dig into the finer details in future episodes. So the overarching goal of any educational plan is to fund a post-secondary education of a beneficiary or multiple beneficiaries. In many cases, this simply means to have invested enough money to pay for a child's education, whether it's university, college, or trades. The first step of an education plan is to understand how much the estimated costs of the education will be. This can be very complicated as the costs vary heavily by future choices that are not fully known right now. These major costs come from tuition, lifestyle choices, housing costs, books, transportation, and more. Understanding the total costs is vital because your education plan needs to get you to this end target. I speak highly of targeted investments, and this is a clear case for it. You're using your hard-earned resources, and having a targeted plan allows you to put the proper amount of money aside to achieve these goals. A few key choices need to be made during this step. Specifically, what are you going to fund? As mentioned, the biggest costs in an education plan are tuition and the future student's living situation. The cost of living on campus can easily double the amount that you would have to put aside. A common choice among parents today is that they will often pay for tuition and have the students pay for their own living expenses. So if they want to live on campus, that'll be their choice and they'll have to pay for it. Certain costs can be decided further down the line. However, you'll have more accuracy if you're able to decide at an earlier point of time. Thankfully, technology can help us understand how much an education will cost in the future, even if it's over 1 to 2 decades later. Open source data is really allowing us to create more accurate estimates for future costs. The big site to receive information about estimated future costs is proliteracy.ca. We'll actually be speaking to one of the founders on our next episode to explore the future costs more. Once you know what the goal is, then you can plan to put money aside for it. The most common way to save on a regular basis is into a registered educational savings plan, or an RESP. However, some other options exist, like trusts. We'll be spending a lot of time on RESPs in the future, but the major benefits are the grants and the ability to tax shelter returns until withdrawal. The most accessible RESP grant is something called the Canada Education Savings Grant, or CESG. This grant offers an immediate 20% per year on a max contribution of $2,500. This equates to up to $500 in annual grants. Additional grants are also available through additional CESG and the Canada Learning Bond, or CLB. These grants target low to medium income households and are very generous. We will also be exploring all of these grants in detail in future episodes. Utilizing these grants and deferring taxation allows the money that you put aside to help you get to your goal faster than if you had not used them. Next, the plan needs to be executed, and you'll also need to review it on a regular basis. Review is a very crucial step because a lot of unexpected factors can pop up and affect your plan. This includes regularly looking into your investments to make sure that they are on track and reviewing your overall education plan if any key details have changed. The final stage of your plan is when the beneficiary withdraws the funds from the account. This is a key step to plan for because tax minimalization is a priority. Portion of investment proceeds are taxable under the beneficiary's name, and properly planning for them can reduce their tax bill. Care also needs to be made for any unused RESP funds. This can have serious income tax consequences, and proper steps can be followed to minimize these. We'll be exploring this and more in future episodes. To summarize the whole process, we first need to determine what the target is for our total educational costs. Then we'll need to determine where the funds will be put into, how much needs to be put aside. We then need to execute the plan, frequently review it, and then withdraw the funds. We'll be exploring all of this in detail in future episodes. Thank you again for listening to Simple Money. If you have any questions, you can send them to me at info@ffcoach.ca. Thank you again for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode.